Welcome to The Miracle You, guiding you on the journey towards finding passion and purpose and how to discover, create, and live a life by your design. Whether your success has been plentiful or your missed opportunities have been overwhelming, we can help you become a more empowered, masterful person and show you how to share your gift with the world. It's time to inspire change from within with the host of The Miracle You, Vince Kramer.
Hello, imagination. I'm Vince Kramer, your host, and welcome to The Miracle You, where you learn about the magic of living your life by finding the example in real life. In past episodes, I've shared with you the importance of understanding that the circumstances in our lives and the things that we do and have happened to us in the past really go into helping us find our gifts and talents, helping us build a process to move into our divine intent or our mission. The interesting thing about today's episode is we get an opportunity to see how even things that we believe aren't accepted in society or might be outside of our comfort zone, they don't fit within our belief system, they might even create fears in our lives, can come together to help us on that journey. They can help us heal the past, help us re-examine the circumstances that happened in our past and change them into things that are more empowering for us as we move forward. We can look at the current situations in our lives and start to look for those things that are teaching us or encouraging us to take a step that we might not have taken. And we can carry a lot of that into our future and bring those things, those circumstances that have helped us create the uniqueness of ourselves to really step out into the world and shine our light. I'm with Dana Pharant today. Becoming a badass in life and business requires you to stand in your power and be super comfy with being unique. Dana knows all about standing out and being unique. Her personal brand of the inner dominatrix pushes people out of their comfort zone, challenges them and their preconceived notions, and has them stepping into fierce determination to rock their bold, sexy, fun-filled lives. Dana, are you ready to share the miracle of you with the imagination?
Absolutely. Thanks, Vince.
You bet. I'm so excited to have you here. You know, each and every episode brings something new and something a little bit more challenging to me. And the interesting thing is, as I was doing research on you, in a lot of ways, we're just alike. And I think that's pretty exciting because there's so many different ways that we each bring our talents and gifts to the world. And as I was learning more about you and how you've really developed your business, developed your life in a way that serves people in so many great ways, I'm truly excited to go into this interview today. Could you share a little bit more? I know you're a best-selling author of Beyond Fear. I know that your business is helping businesses really step out, and especially the bringing the feminine energy into business, which I think is so powerful. Could you give us a little bit more about you and about the business?
Absolutely. So business-wise, we'll start there because I always love to start with business. That's my passion. I do business as an extreme sport, and I love working with people who are kind of in that same, really hungry for more. They're hungry to grow their business, and like me, that they love the challenge of it. So it's not just about the money; it's about way more. And what I do is I help people to grow their business with a lot of ease by shifting and changing what's going on the inside, because how we show up is determined by what's going on the inside. So it really plays a big role in there. And then personally, I have an amazing husband for the last 9 years, and I am pretty much a workaholic. So aside from a few crafty things of fixing up my house, it's all business, which I love. I really love my work.
One of the things that we share in Imagine Miracles is the fact that once you find your passion, once you're aligned with your purpose, even the work is fun, and it really starts flowing into just every single part of your day. And it's nothing separate anymore when you're living your purpose. And I can tell by the smile on your face that you're living yours. And unfortunately, nobody gets to see that, but I'll tell you, it's huge. I can tell that you're right on track in walking the journey that you're supposed to walk. I have a question for you. In the research, I noticed that there's many things that have happened in your life that have really changed you and moved you towards this purpose and passion. Could you share one of those wake-up calls with us?
So, a lot of people wonder why I got into the dominatrix world. And, it was this interesting kind of turn of events where I was working at that time as a massage therapist, and I had a client come in who disclosed to me that she was involved in kink, which some people call BDSM. And it sparked something for me that I really wanted to explore it. So it took me a few years, but I eventually got there. And here's the crazy thing is that, in my childhood, I had, like so many people, had experienced various types of traumas, and sexual trauma was one of them. And so I had this inkling to go and explore kink. And I thought, this is the craziest thing. I mean, why would I want to go there given my history? And yet it turned out to be the most profound healing, because having a session, and we call them a session or a scene because it's not about sex. It's actually about really deep personal transformation. So this session is set up to take you deeper and deeper into the space of transformation. And in that deep trance state, you're able to transform and move a lot of the programming. And for me, I was able to go and create a scene that reenacted the abuse, but also had a different outcome. And that untangled things at like a DNA level for me in my body. And in that time, I realized that I had actually been depressed for the previous 20 odd years, waking up for the first time and looking out and going, wow, that gray drizzly kind of thing, that's kind of pretty. It's kind of pretty how it lands on the road like that. And also this awareness of, I have never had that thought before. Like, wow, how long have I been sitting in this state of like nothingness? And now, a complete awakening. So it really was very transformative in my life. Huge opening.
The interesting thing for me is that there's so much taboo in a lot of the stuff that you're talking about right here. Initially, was there some taboo for you?
Absolutely. There was a lot of shame. Should I, shouldn't I? And then of course, because of my background, who like this, I must be broken. There's gotta be something wrong with me if I want to explore this. And, there's not enough great conversation happening about the psychology behind it and, exploring our desires without having judgments and these heavy labels put on it. We have so many labels as a society for what's okay, what's not okay. And it's crazy because one of the things I love within the kink world is that everything has a place. And the only rules, if you say, the rules is that it is safe, sane, and consensual. So if I'm okay with it and you're okay with it and it's just between you and me, then it's not anybody else's business. And it's not anybody else's business to judge it. And that, like, if the rest of the world would adopt some of that, I think it could change a lot of people's perspective. So I love how it kind of gets people to open up and think differently.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. I'm sure there's a bit of a shock factor in it as you start sharing with people. How old were you when you started in the dominatrix world?
So that would have been 2006, I got started in that. I don't think in terms of how old was I? 30s. So,
So you had a pretty substantiated belief system at that point. You probably had some pretty well founded in your mind fears about a lot of that stuff. At 30 years old or so, how did you overcome those enough to step into that world?
I think the pull was strong enough, combined with, like I said, this client who had disclosed to me. She came in to see me on a regular basis, and so every time she came in, I would be picking her brain, and we'd be talking about, why do people like this? Why does that work? And looking at the whole transformative piece of it, because personal development has always been probably my number one value in life. I always want to grow. I want to learn more. I want to, strive for more because it changes who I am. And so then when I started to really explore with her what the kink was actually about, like what was going on, to me, it just was like, wow, this is very much like therapy and coaching and, all of those things that I absolutely adore. And that's what it ended up being for me, was a very deeply healing time in my life.
Really, truly a message from the universe, something that was pulling you in that direction to help you do it through that healing process. It's so hard for us sometimes to listen to that message and just step into it the way that you did. And, what's the chances that you would be able to heal such deep wounds by just listening to that inkling and then taking action? It's so
yes, it is huge. And that piece you talk about, that's the surrendering into our knowing. And, the kink world is all about the surrender. And so, of course, when I experienced that deep healing, that was what prompted me to want to take up the training to become a dominatrix, because I wanted other people to experience this deep level of healing. And, eventually I realized that not everybody wants to go to the dungeon. So I had to find some other ways of helping them move through.
The thing that I really appreciate about what you're sharing is that everything that has happened in our lives have really gone into us creating where we're going next and to follow the journey. Even back to the sexual abuse that you had as a child, it has come into that process for you. Could you go into a little depth with us on some of the jobs that you've had in the past, and to include the dominatrix work that you've done, and how that's prepared you for the badass business work that you're doing?
Absolutely. Thank you. So I started out as a massage therapist. So that was my first full-time career. Prior, if we go way back, I did a year at McDonald's full-time until I figured out that I really didn't ever want a job. I'm a bad employee. So that's one thing. I'm a very bad employee. Discovered that I am a rebel and I have to lead. So, getting that awareness, getting that information is really valuable. And about, 1999, I started my massage supply outlet and built that up into the 7-figure mark. So that process and having a team and, all of the pieces that are involved in having a bigger business was definitely, huge asset now. So, I can work with people who are 7 and 8 figure earners because I understand what it means to lead a team, who you need to become, how you need to stand and lead them and get, optimal performance. So, those were invaluable lessons. And then, of course, the dominatrix training is this incredible piece where, and again, I just wanted to dispel the myth. Like, a lot of people think dominatrix and they think power over. And it's actually not. It is a high-level service position in which you are so focused on the client. When you're there, you are completely present to the moment. It requires you to be 100% in the room, on and focused. So that was a huge gift. And then, being client focused means, in the dungeon, of course, it meant life or death. Like I had to be aware. And so that is such a gift, again, with my clients. If I'm really aware of what's going on with them and how do I serve and how do I get them to have the outcome that they most desire, that's my focus. And then I think the other really cool thing from the dungeon is that I'm not afraid to inflict pain. So now, I will put people into the places of discomfort so that they can get the shift and outcome that they really need. If we don't challenge people, if we don't put them in that place of really feeling uncomfortable, they don't tend to shift as quickly and easily. So, and it's something that not a lot of people are comfortable with, and that's definitely, I got really comfortable with making people uncomfortable. So lots and lots of gifts along the way, but I think those are kind of the highlights.
Well, on your webpage, you call yourself a coach and a trainer. And one of the most important things for a coach is to be able to go through uncomfortable times without saying something and allow that time for things to percolate in the client's mind and stuff. So I think that's great how you showed us that, that past has brought you to a place where you can truly be an exceptional coach. What's the biggest miracle that you've experienced in your life?
This is such a hard question. Like, what is the biggest miracle? Because I have to be honest, I live so much in the moment that to think, what's the biggest miracle? Then I got to go through the whole list and I got to start judging them, evaluating them. I got to sort them. That's where my brain goes. I'm like, well, which one was really the biggest? Was this one the biggest? I think it's all an accumulation, but I would say one of the things I appreciate really dearly is my husband. Having been in a relationship with a narcissist, healing that, recognizing who I am, and again, that adds to my gifts. It's not really a job, but it definitely adds to my gifts of what I can do for people. And I now really appreciate having somebody who loves and adores me for me, somebody who wants to see me do well, who cheers me on, who really lets me shine. That is a huge, huge gift and miracle. There is an interesting story with that. So just quickly, because I think this is fun. So 2008, I had finally got, all the things separated from my ex. It was a 2-year divorce, even though we weren't even actually married, but it was a long process because when you're dealing with a narcissist, it's never fun. And so I took myself on a trip to Thailand. And I went by myself. I thought, I am no longer waiting for somebody to be in my life to do the big things. So I went to Thailand and I had very little plans. I had one training course that I knew I wanted to do. And other than that, I was just going to show up each day and do kind of a walkabout, wherever the wind blew. But one of the things I did do in that trip was I started making a list of what do I want in a partner? How do I want this person to feel in my life? How do I want to be engaged with them? Not looking at what do they look like and all that. It's more, how does it feel to be in a relationship with this person? I made a very extensive list of all the things I required. And I came back, and it was 3 weeks after I came back, I met my husband. And he had all the things on my list. And my joke is that I forgot to put height on my list. But that's okay. He's a cutie.
Once again, thank you for that, because as we talk about the energy that we put out in the world is the energy that we attract back in. Taking the time to really bring your 5 senses into understanding what it is that you want to attract actually creates the energy inside of us for us to put out and attract in.
Mm-hmm.
A supportive relationship. Could you give us a little bit of insight on what you tell your clients on the importance of a supportive relationship in their business or what they want to accomplish in life?
It's possible to succeed without a supportive relationship. However, it is way easier when you have your partner on board, because every business is going to go through ups and downs. It is not all a bed of roses. And if it was, you wouldn't be having as much fun, right? Mount Everest is not an easy climb, but then if you get to the top and it was an easy climb, you wouldn't enjoy the rewards. So it's the same thing in business. So when you have somebody who is there for you, then when you have your challenges, they're not jumping straight to, you should quit, go get a job, we need some money, right? They're like, dig in, you've got this, you can do this, have a good cry, here's some wine. Like they're there with the support that you need, as opposed to tearing you down. So I think it is definitely easier with a supportive partner.
And for what you just shared there, supportive definition would be, and I'm going to put words in your mouth and you can tell me yes or no here, but a supportive relationship is really someone who allows you to be who you are and to express that, and is there to appreciate you as you express that, but on the same note, be there to support you, but not fix you.
Absolutely. And I would say it's also someone who will call you on your bull. The person who can be like, okay, I think you're deluding yourself. You need to step it up, or you need to figure out another way, or, to lovingly call you on it, but not tearing you down in those moments where you're like, I quit, I can't do this. Like those are the moments when you just need your blanket and you need a hug. And no fixing, you just need a hug.
I understand that tremendously. I share that with Mary, who's my business partner and wife also. Here comes a place for you to kind of really let your light shine out. So we define miracle and imagine miracles as through an act of love, sharing your gifts and talents with the world so others can share theirs. Can you give us some of the talents and gifts that you share with the world? And then could you give us an example of how that's affected one or two people?
Oh, thank you. I love this question. So I've been really leaning into the fact that my deepest gift is holding a container that is safe and strong and allows people to shift in miraculous ways. I can listen to the most horrendous stories of people and hold no judgment of them. And that's the thing. I hold no judgment of people. And so that ability allows them to just untangle from all of the baggage and the beliefs and the crap that they've held on to for so long. Like I can tear up with this because it's just such an incredible gift. And it's from all of my past that I've healed. Not too long ago, I was invited into a rape crisis center in a big city. And they were going through tremendous challenges in organization, but also you've got to imagine the people that work at a rape crisis center have all been through their own challenges. So here you have a group of 22 people, very diverse backgrounds. We have transgender, we have Native, we have various minority groups. So they all have different challenges and oppressions. And the potential for people being triggered and the stories that are coming up all over the place, but they needed to be able to talk through and have difficult conversations. And I was brought in, and it's such a gift for me. I was brought in to facilitate those difficult conversations. And at the end, one of the women came up to me and she said, "Are you a witch?" Because no one has been able to get this group to open up like that. So that was an incredible couple of days for me and for them.
And that goes back to my earlier question in the experiences that you had in the dungeon, as you say, really allowed you to get to a place where there was little judgment, like you said, and it does open doors. I've shared maybe once or twice on earlier podcasts, our youngest is going through some alcohol abuse issues and has been in and out of rehab for almost 7 years now. and the experiences that he's had and the differences in his ability to express himself in a room really is affected by people having judgment or not having judgment. And it makes such a difference. So I've got two questions, and both of them could put you on the spot. And if you don't feel like you want to answer it, that is fine. The first one is, how would you suggest to people to give themselves the gift of little or no self-judgment?
So aside from, of course, doing the deeper inner work on yourself, that is kind of an obvious, but I think the first place that people can start with is this tool that I always teach is expanding out. And it's expanding your energy field out. So we are all made up of physical as well as vibrational energy. And if we take our energy field and we expand out like all the way, just keep going like big, super big, all the way out to infinite space. When you go that size in all directions, then it allows for you to start to step into this no judgment space, because you have a really big perspective on what's going on. And the other thing is that, just stepping into not taking things personally. And I know that phrase kind of triggers some people, but it's not about you. So when people are talking, it has nothing to do with you. Even if they are saying you're doing X, Y, Z, and I'm really mad at you, it still has nothing to do with you. And that's a process to really get that locked in. But at the very least, to start, it's like I wonder what it would feel like if I didn't take this personally. I wonder what it would feel like if I didn't have judgment of this person. And it's the listening to them. And if you need to, just put all your stuff, all your baggage, all your emotions on the shelf and take a deep breath to be present for them. And I get it. It's like, if you have some really deep core healing to do, this is going to be super challenging. Mm-hmm. And it's probably not the place to start, in dealing with somebody like your kid. Is it son or daughter?
Son. Mm-hmm.
Son. If you were to be sitting in a room with your son, this is maybe not the person to start trying out being non-judgment with. You want to start out with people that are less, it's like less intense, less charged, mm-hmm. right? It's not as much of a high consequence, high stakes. That's what I'm looking for. Right. Find the words, to take the steps.
So outside of that deep personal connection and maybe something that's not so triggering, because our kids are really reflecting so much of us back at us.
Well, there's for you, there's probably the pieces of, am I a good dad? Where did I mess up? What did I do wrong? Right? That all comes out. And then that comes out as you're not being a good son. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's a reflection on my feeling like a bad parent. And there is a process. So it's going to be a journey for everyone in your family.
For sure. And it has been, but a journey that's enlightening for each and every one of us. Here's Absolutely. My favorite part of the show. I like to share the collective energy of the imagination with people as they take their next step on their journey. And I try to get people to give me the next step that maybe not too many or maybe even no one knows about yet. So is there any steps in your life or your business that's coming up that we can really shine the collective energy of the imagination on?
I'm such an open book. There's not much that nobody knows that I'm willing to share. I would say very few people are aware. I've talked a bit about it. Anyway, we'll just go with that. So I am working on the second book, which is within the Inner Dominatrix Guide series. So the first one was Become a Badass in Business. And the second one is Badass Abundance. So there's going to be another, layer of inner journey in order to be able to compile this. And I think a lot of people don't realize that, when you write a book, when you put anything out, there's an inner process of becoming comfortable with it, owning it, really, getting those clothes to fit, so to speak.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you. And we're going to share all the collective energy to see the book come to fruition and to help you get into alignment with and be in the process of that. And so many great things have happened through this question, and that's why it's my favorite part, because I've seen people. And actually, people have called me up and said, we talked about it. I really didn't let it out. And now it's just rolling down the hill like a rock with its own destination and its own power behind it. So I hope that the energy of the imagination does the same for you through this process.
Lovely. Thank you.
You bet. Could you share? Well, let me go this route first, and then I'll ask you to share. The whole premise of the Miracle You is for people to not feel alone, to understand that things happen in our lives, to open our eyes, and then through that awakening, that new awareness, we can step into who we are and really find our purpose, find our divine intent, as we call it in Imagine Miracles. Could you give us a piece of parting guidance on how people can step into a business if they're ready to take that step?
So I think if people are ready to step into a business, there's all the logistical things. Of course, my brain is like firing off all of those, make sure you have the money saved up and, you got to have a good plan and make sure you know your market, all those fun things. But I would say at the core of it, from a personal development side, it is being willing to lose. Because when we really embrace the energy of being willing to lose everything, then we don't get caught up in the, oh my God, what if this doesn't work? And, and all the anxiety that becomes paralyzing. So, I'm a big believer of follow your intuition. So get to know how to test your intuition and then use that. And I would definitely say use that to formulate your business plan. I love teaching people that tool because it's a fast, effective way to shortcut the learning and leading into what's actually going to work for you. So, be willing to lose and be willing to listen and follow your intuition.
That follow just added a whole nother element to the listening to, because so many people listen, but they don't trust, or they let their mind kick in and find all the reasons not to follow. So great advice. Thank you very much. Believe it or not, we're at the end of our time, and I want to make sure people can find you. So what's the best ways for people to get in touch with Dana?
So if you go over to danapharant.com, which is DanaPharant.com, or innerdominatrix.com, and you can get a free copy of the book. I am the only Dana Pharant in the world. So all the social media platforms, you just Google that name and you will find me everywhere. I would love to connect.
I'm jealous. I want to be the only Vince Kramer in the world.
It's kind of it's the downside is nobody knows how to pronounce it. So,
but it's so much easier to get URLs. That's for sure.
Right. And every social media handle. Nobody wants mine. That's good.
Excellent. And all that information will be available to you on the show page. Just go to themiracleyou.com. All that information is available. And I know that free offer of the book is something that each and every one of you should take advantage of. Dana, on behalf of Mary, my business partner, myself, we wish you a miracle day. And thank you for taking time out of yours to be with us.
Oh, thank you so much, Vince. It's been a pleasure.
Have a great day.
You've completed this episode of The Miracle You, but we have plenty more to help you discover your own personal passion and purpose. Head over to themiracleyou.com for free resources to assist you on your journey, as well as register for our free webinar, Discover Your Miracle Life, 3 Mind Awakening Steps Toward Your Unique Purpose, or apply for a one-on-one Your Life, Your Way breakthrough session and discover your next best step on your journey. All available exclusively on our website. That's themiracleyou.com. We look forward to sharing more experiences of passion, purpose, and life by design next time, right here on The Miracle You.